The Space Shuttle Challenger disaster was a fatal accident in the United States space program that occurred on January 28, 1986, when the Space Shuttle Challenger broke apart 73 seconds into flight, killing all 7 crew members aboard. The disaster was caused by the failure of the 2 redundant O-ring seals in a joint in the Space Shuttle's right solid rocket booster. The recorded low temperatures of the launch reduced the elasticity of the rubber O-rings, reducing their ability to seal the joints. The broken seals caused a breach in the joint shortly after liftoff, which allowed pressurized gas from within the SRB to burn through the wall adjacent to the external fuel tank. This led to the separation of the right-hand SRB's attachment and the structural failure of the external tank. Following the explosion, the orbiter, which included the crew compartment, was broken up. Now we're going to start answering some questions. Number 1, what could NASA have done differently? Well, the air temperature on January 28th was predicted to be a record low for Space Shuttle launch. Based upon the O-ring erosion that had occurred in the warmer launches, the engineers were concerned over the effects of the cold temperatures would have on the seal provided by the SRB O-rings for the launch. The manager of KSC office of the Marshall Space Flight Center set up a conference call on the evening of January 27th to discuss the safety of the launch. The engineers also argued that they did not have enough data to determine whether the O-rings would seal in those cold temperatures. When the teleconference resumed, they had changed their opinion and stated that the evidence presented on the failure of the O-rings was inconclusive and that they would continue and proceed with the launch. What NASA could have done differently was, as they were testing out prior of launch, any red flags that could have come up, they should have spent more time to collect the data and perform all diagnostic procedures to make sure that all safety requirements were met. Simply that any concerns that have come up, all of them would be resolved instead of ignored. Roger Bios-Joly was a booster rocket engineer at NASA's contractor Morton Thickle in Utah in January 1986 when he and 4 colleagues became embroiled in the fatal decision to launch the Space Shuttle Challenger. Roger Bios-Joly was a booster rocket engineer at NASA contractor in Utah in January 1986. Bios-Joly and one of his other colleagues were the engineers who fought so hard to stop the launch and repeatedly warned NASA of the danger temperatures and the effects it would have on the elastic seals. Bios-Joly quoted that he was very angry that nobody listened to him, and then he later asked himself, well, if I could have done anything different, I would have. But then he told the reporters, you know what, we were talking to the right people. We were talking to the people who had the power to stop the launch. That is what he testified to the Challenger Commission and field lawsuits. In the question of what Roger Bios-Joly could have done differently, well, my answer to that is honestly nothing. If his team wouldn't listen to him and he talked and fought so hard to stop the launch, his superiors just shut him down and silenced his voice, honestly, I don't know if he could have done anything else. For the future engineers and the relation being loyal to their management and protecting the public welfare, I think these responsibilities mean that it is important to work as a team and respect all rankings in your team, either whether you're superior or lower or whatever. I think that it is important to listen to your engineers or your managers or your inspection sheets or whatever it is. And when being called for inspections and having any red flags that come up or team meetings about that you completely cover every single topic and every single problem is solved, not ignored. Because then when thinking of the public welfare, if you're putting that as your priority, your time and money spent shouldn't be as important. You can delay projects or delay anything to make sure that all the safety requirements are met.